Hi everyone, welcome to Visual Studio ALM video series. So today we'll discuss on Microsoft Test Manager topic, that is MTM, Microsoft Test Manager. So I'll be covering the features of MTM in parts. So this is the first part. So in part 1 we'll see the basics of MTM, like how to connect to Microsoft Test Manager, to Team Foundation Server, how to create a test plan, how to create a test suite, a test case, what are the test settings to be done, what is the importance of the build with the test plan, and different test configurations. So all those details we'll discuss in this part. So I've got a virtual machine with MTM installed, Microsoft Test Manager installed, Team Foundation Server installed, Visual Studio, SQL Server, MS Office, and so many stuff. I will connect to a Team Foundation Server from MTM. So let me open Microsoft Test Manager. So MTM, Microsoft Test Manager. Let me open this. So this is a tool for manual testers. So I'm a manual tester, then I have to use this tool, connect to Team Foundation Server, then create test cases, execute test cases, file bugs, verify whether the bugs are fixed, retest. So all those activities I will be doing using Microsoft Test Manager. So if I'm connecting for the first time, I have to add in the server name, that is a TFS server name. So this is the same way how we will connect from other IDEs, either Excel or Visual Studio or Team Explorer, where we'll go and enter the server name, click on add, then based on our permission we'll be able to see the collections and the respective team projects. Okay, so I will connect to a team project called Tailspin Toys, and I click on connect now. So next comes the test plan. Okay, so it depends on the organization and the team how to use this. So it can be used as a plan for each of the sprint, or if you're following a different test life cycle, you can have test plans, and each test plan will have number of test suites, that is folders, and again which those contains test cases to be executed. So currently there are two plans, so let me create one more plan here. I click on add a test plan. Let me say iteration 3. I can define the area path, to which area this plan belongs, to which module this plan belongs, or to which team this plan belongs. I can define that. And iteration, I can define to which iteration this test plan belongs. Let's say this test plan is for iteration 3, so I can put the iteration path to tailspin toys / iteration 3. Let me click on add. So I created a new test plan. Okay, let me select the test plan and see the details of the plan. So this is a new plan created. Let me go and see the properties of this. So from TFS 2013 onwards, okay, or update 3 onwards, test plan, test suites are also work item types. So earlier we had a test case work item type, and a test suite or test plan were not work items, they were like a containers or a folder kind of structure. But from update 3 onwards, even test plan and test suites are work item types, so that it gives us the features to customize those. So earlier we had requirements like I want to add some more data into test plan, but it was not possible. but now it will be possible. So this is a test plan work item, and I can customize and add more details to it, more data to be captured as part of the test plan. I can do it pretty much. Same way, test suite also is a work item type, and I can customize it to capture more data. So this is a test plan with the details. I can give the summary, the start date, end date, who's the owner, if I have to attach any documents to it, related documents, I can do that, links to it, so all those details. So now I have got the test plan. I can create test suits. So for this test plan, so here it's again one more suit. So test plan is converted as a suit. Also here you can see this is a static suit. This can contain many more suits. One is another static suit or query based suit or requirements based suit. Okay, so I'll explain all these details in a couple of minutes. So before that, so we saw properties. Let's see the run settings. Yeah, so this is mainly used when we start executing the test cases. So when we execute the test cases, what data I want to capture. So it all depends on this test setting. Let me open the existing test setting, that is full diagnostic. Click on open. So the name, what type of test run, rules, so it's a local machine. Then data diagnostic, what data it should capture when we execute a test case. So I want the tool to capture action logs. That is, as a tester, when he or she clicks on the application, enters some details during testing, so all those actions should be captured. Then Intially Trace information, test impact information, code coverage, event logs, and even I can go and specify the kind of event logs to capture, the type of event logs to capture. So if I click on configure, whether it is application event, hardware events, Internet Explorer, so many things, you can see that system events, event types to calculate, whether I want to capture only errors, failures, or informations, warnings, and the limit, the number of entries to log per test. Intially Trace, so which is one of the very important data to be captured. So using Intially Trace, I can collect all the actions or the traces of the application. So when the tester starts testing the application, he will go and opens the application. If it is a web application, browses the web application, clicks on a button, enters some details. So back end, all these methods will be executed, right? So this Intially Trace will capture all those information, and if there was a bug in the application, maybe the application just stopped, so Intially Trace collects all the exceptions thrown in the back end. Okay, or let's say there is some calculation wrong in calculation, so the Intially Trace would have captured the entire flow path, right? All the methods it has called, how the calculation happened, what were the input variables, what was the calculation, all the stuff. Now when I file a bug, this Intially Trace data is transferred as a file .itrace file. Okay, and the developers can open that .itrace file in Visual Studio. Then they can use it for debugging the application. Okay, so this also is very important, and I can configure it saying I want to collect only events or even events and call traces, call information, or I want to capture, I can exclude certain models, include certain models, processes. I want to exclude, include, Intially Trace events, what kind of events I want to capture. Okay, so all those things I can configure here, and what should be the maximum amount of disk space for each of the recordings. So I can set the limit also here. So I can set 100 MB, 250, 500, 1 GB, 20 GB, or no size limit. So it depends how I want to use it. So currently it is set 100 MB. Then is screen recording, screen and voice recording. Yes. So while doing testing, I can record I can record the screen, that is video recording. I can do so the developers can see what the tester has done. Even the voice recording, if the tester wants to give some information. System information, yes, I want to collect the system information like the RAM, the browser used, the versions of OS, and all those stuff, because even that is very crucial for me. Let's say certain application doesn't work or is not supported on certain browsers or certain operating system, then I can easily identify those from the system information. Let's say system information gives me, okay, OS is Windows 7 with SP or later version, and this is the RAM, this is the CPU utilization, and these are the browsers used. So then I can easily say that if my application doesn't support this OS or this browser, then the testing is done on a wrong configuration. So no need to analyze it and go and fix it, because the testing is done in a wrong configuration. So all these informations are crucial, because when we say okay, there's a bug, we may not give enough information, maybe accept the steps to reproduce, but that is not enough still. I have to give information like on which system it is run, the system configuration details, all the stuff. Correct. So this will solve the gap between the developers and the testers. So there's enough proof from the tester side that there is a bug, and these are the information which are related to the test execution the tester has done. And for the developers, yes, he or she knows that okay, there is a bug, they have got the enough information, enough proof, but also they have got enough information to debug, to analyze and fix the issue. So both way it is win-win situation. So test impact, so this is another data diagnostic option which will capture the testing information, and based on that it will help us to decide what are the impacted test cases based on the change to the application for a specific build. So this is again related to the team build, which is a feature of team foundation server. So from one build to another build, that is from one release to another release, what are the test cases impacted. So I can configure all those things. Okay, let me create a new data diagnostic, that is test setting file. Click on new. I can give a name. Let me say demo diagnostic. I can give description, role, it is local data diagnostic. I can choose action log, I can choose screen and voice recording, system information. So even screen and voice recording, I can define all these things, whether I want to enable voice recording along with the screen, or so save the recording if the test cases passes or not, I can define. And what should be the quality of the recording, I can define all these things. Okay, so once it is done, click on next. So I'll go to the summary page. So once I click on finish, it's done. So I have created a new test settings for my plan. Test environment, so currently it will be none because I'm running a manual test on a local environment. If I'm using a lab environment, lab management, then I can specify this. We will discuss about this in the later video series. Okay, so next is build. So before that, let me save this, that plan, then I can go for build. and I'll say I want to assign a build for this plan. So I can click on modify, then I can go and say assign a particular build definition. So I can even choose what build definition I want to modify. So here I can define that. So I want to modify a certain build definition. So I have only one build definition, so that is tailspin toys iteration 2. I can choose that. I can set the filter here, then click on modify. Yeah, let's save the plan, and it gives me all the builds executed for this build definition, and this is the latest build execution, so I can assign it. So now I have assigned a build, a release to the plan. Okay, so next thing I want to discuss about is the configuration. So when I execute a test case, so we want to execute test case in different configurations. So we can define those configurations in the test plan. So here it says Windows 7 and IE8, Windows Server 2008 and IE8, or Vista and i7. So I can choose the different configurations for the plan, so that the testers will be informed, okay, there is a test case XYZ which has to be run on Windows 7 environment and Windows Server environment or Vista XP or whatever, but this is just for the documentation purpose. So point to be noted here, it doesn't validate. So let's say I have got a configuration Windows 7 and i8, and this is to inform the tester should run the test case on Windows 7 and i8, but he can go and run in any other environment also. So it doesn't really validate, but it's for a document purpose, but I can validate manually. So I have given the configuration, and while doing the testing, the system information will get the system's configuration. I can match and say, okay, as a test manager or a lead, I would have given these configuration, but the tester has done a different configuration, so I can validate those stuff. So I can choose and select the configurations for the test plan. Suppose I want to add many more configurations, all the stuff. So how to do that? Let's see that. So I can click on manage here, manage test configuration. I can click on new, then create a new test configuration. I can click on manage configuration variables. So before that, let me show you that how to manage configuration variables. I can click from here, okay, then I can decide, or let me go to a proper place here. So go to organize tab, then click on test configuration manager. So here you can see that all the configurations. So if I want to manage any configuration variables, I can click on this. So we have got operating system and browser. So when I click on operating system, I will see the different options here. Okay, and I can fill in the details. For example, Windows 8, I can do that. Then browsers, I can specify. I can even define new configuration variable, like, so let me click on new configuration variable and maybe say SQL, and I can define SQL variables, SQL Server 2008, SQL Server 2012. So like that I can define different variables. SQL 2012, SQL 2012 R2. So like this I can define many configuration variables, and I can use those configuration variables in test configuration. So let me save the configuration variables. So I can create a new configuration, test configuration. Let me click on this, and I can say this is Windows Server 2012. then click on these. See, you can see the operating system. So let me say it is Windows 8. Okay, then I can put browser, let's say it's Chrome, then SQL version, let's say it is SQL Server 22. So I can define all these things and I can click on save and close. So I've got a new configuration. So let me close this also. Let me go back to this and let me see here. Yeah, I have got a new configuration, Windows 8, and I can select that. Let me click on apply. I've select Windows 7 and Windows 8. Okay, let me click on save. So what we have done now is we have created a test settings file. We have assigned the build to the plan, and we saw how to apply the configuration to the plan and how to create new configurations, and also how to create new configuration variables and add the values for the variables. Okay, so this was about the settings thing. Now let's go back to the content section here. So we have got different section: content, results, properties, run settings. So run settings is what we saw just now, right? And if you go for the properties, the test plan details. Okay, then if you go for the results, it's the test plan result. So nothing is there because we don't have any test cases and we have not executed any of the test cases. And contents is a section where all the test suits, test cases I can access. And we have got these 4 tabs above: planning tab, so where we will plan the activities. So mainly to create test cases, to define the variables, settings, configurations, all those things will be done in the plan tab. Next is test tab, where I will go and I will go and execute the test cases or verify the bugs or analyze the test results. So this is a place where I'll be running the test cases. Either it is a test case created with steps or exploratory test case. So next is the track. As the name suggests, it is to track the details. So I can use different queries to track the details. Okay, I can go for assigning the build to the plan. I can see the recommended test cases for the plan. Then organize tab, as the name suggests, so I can organize all the details. Like I can organize the test plans, I can see the details of the test plans, I can see the test configurations, I can manage, I can edit, modify, I can create new test configuration, new test variables, test cases, all the test cases, and shade steps. So these are another concepts in another concept in MTM. So this is mainly used when we have certain common steps in so many test cases, right? So let's say we are creating hundreds of test cases and certain steps are common in so many test cases, then I don't have to write every time, go and write it all the 4 or 5 steps in all the test cases. So I can create one shade steps, and wherever it is required, just insert or use those shade steps. So we'll see all those in a later video series. So let me go back to the plan tab. So we have got a test plan, we have got all the settings done. So let's see how to create a new suite. So I can click on this new button, then create a suite. So I've got a new suite. So I can say end-to-end testing. Okay, so assume this is just a container, a folder kind of structure where I can have test cases under this suite. And also I can add a query based suite. So this is mainly based on the test case queries. So, and it's dynamic. So let's say when I run this query, I want to see all the test cases which are assigned to Adam. Okay, yes, so then I can say all the test cases which belongs to Adam, right? or let's say I want all the test cases which are of priority 2. Okay, I've got, so if I go for priority, you can see all the test cases are of priority 2. Let me see, 1, no test cases, right? So I can define like this. So let's say this is priority 2 test cases. So I can just create a test suite here with all the test cases which are of priority 2, and this is dynamic. Let's say tomorrow this test case priority changes and this test case will be removed of the test suite priority 2. Okay, so query based test suite, static test suite, and requirement based test suite. So adding the requirement, so assuming here a tailspin toys a team project which was created for creating a application, a dummy application, rather a shopping cart application, tailspin toys. So we already have got requirements, and those requirements are already logged into team foundation server and people have started working on that. Okay, so now we want to create test cases for those requirements, against those requirements. So since MTM, Visual Studio, Excel, MPP, all these tools connect to the same source, single repository, centralized hub, that is Team Foundation server. So I can access those requirements in MTM. So I have to just say add requirements, connect back to Team Foundation server, query, and run the query, and I can see all the requirements. I can filter the requirements again based on the properties of the requirements, like severity, priority, assigned to, so many other prior, requirement properties. So I can select certain requirements and I can say I want to start testing these requirements. So I want to add test cases for these requirements, create test cases for these requirements. Let me add requirements to the plan. So all the three requirements are added as a suite. Okay, now I can go and create a test case or add an existing test case to these requirements or to these suites. You can see suite type requirement based suite. Okay, and this is a static suite and this is a query based suite. Okay, so let's see how to create a new test case. So we saw how to create a test plan, how to create all the three types of test suites, and now we'll see how to create a test case. So to create a new test case, I have to click on new. To add a new test case, I have to click on add an existing test case, query it, and add. So there's a difference between this adding the existing test case to the query to the suites and the the query based test suite. So here also we'll be going and creating a query or modifying the query and adding the test cases, but this is dynamic. As I said, tomorrow if the test case priority changes from 2 to something else, so this test case will be off from this suite. But whereas if I go and add an existing test case with the query and select those test cases, so those are not dynamic. So if the properties of the test case also changes, but still it will be available in the test suites. So that is the main difference between a static suite and a dynamic suite or a query based suite. Okay, so let me okay, fine, let me show you how to add an existing test case. So click on this add, then run the query. I can again, as I said, we can filter it. So let's say I want to filter based on assign to as Adam, then run, then select the test cases and add here. So it gives me the number of test cases, the count of the test cases under a suite. So here I can create a new test case. So let me create a new test case, and before that let me show you one more option. Let me open the requirement. and go to the test cases, you can see all those test cases are linked to this requirement. So when I just add these test cases to this requirement automatically got linked to the test cases. So if you go to the test case tab here, so it lists all the test cases. So what this says is this user story is tested by these test cases, and even these test cases will have a link of this user story. So if I open any of the test cases, tested user story, if I go, you can see that. So this test case will test these requirements. They can be one or multiple requirements. Okay, so let me create a new test case here. So I'll click on new. So this is the interface for the test case, where I can define the new test case. So I'll say test the customer shopping cart scenario. Then I can just start adding the steps. I can define the other fields like in what state it is, what is the priority of the test case, whether it is automated, not automated, to which area and iteration it belongs. Okay, so all these things I can define in the steps. So you'll say open the web URL, login to the app. So I can even define enter the details and all the stuff. Then click on cart icon or link. So what is the expected result? Should display the items in the cart, close the app. So I can define all these things and my test case is ready. So I've got a test case with the title, that is the objective of the test case, and what are the steps, what is the expected result, and if I want to give any other descriptions I can give, and the other links, attachments, all the stuff. And you can see it's already linked to the requirement I created. So if I close this, so I created against a requirement 5 and it is linked. Okay, so I'll add one more test case. Maybe I'll click on new, I'll create one more test case. I've got some predefined steps, so I want to just show the full-fledged test case creation. So I've got these steps. Just so you can see here, you can even, if you have the test cases, the test steps written in notepad, you can easily copy paste. So I just copy pasted all the now 10 steps here. So open the URL, click on certain button, and the interesting fact here is enter @ first name, last name, email ID, address, city. All this we have become a columns here. So a table with a column is created for all these variables, and I can go and add the values for these variables. Okay, so I've got the values also, so let me just copy that. Yeah, let me click on save. So I've got all the values here. Okay, so now I can say, okay, this test case is ready for execution. So it has got a certain flow also, state flow. So this is not created any against any requirement, so it doesn't have any link. It is just a test case which is created under a folder. So I've got the title, the steps with the expected result. Then here I have specified what are the variables it should contain. So all the three sets. So what it says is, when I'm executing the test case, even my data is present with my test case. And the main advantage of MTM is, while executing the test case, is I don't have to manually write all those values, manually enter all those values. So we'll see in the next part how to execute a test case, how to file a bug, and while executing, what are the benefits MTM gives me as a tester, how much time and effort it saves me as a tester. This is all about creating a test plan, test suite, creating a test case with all the different settings we discussed. So I will end this part. So we'll see in the next part how to execute the test cases which we created, how to file a bug, how to verify and refix. I mean, sorry, retest once the developer has fixed it. So thanks for attending.